40 days until the election. 40 days of ads, 40 days of signs, 40 days of texts, 40 days of calls.
Make it go away.
And 40 days maybe of Trump and Kamala coming to Arizona. All right, we're inside the war room. It is Bruce and Gaydos. We've got Barry Markson, KTAR legal analyst. Good to see you, Bear.
Good to see you, boys.
Stacy Pearson, Democratic strategist, Lumen Strategies. Hello, Stacy.
Hello.
And John Holmberg.
What's that?
Holmberg's morning sickness, a 98 KUPD. I've been waiting for you to come in the war room.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is a challenge.
John, we have a list in our prep room of like people we want on the war room. He goes, put Holmberg on there. I go, are you sure about that?
Well, you know, now they closed the Royal Inn. My evenings are free, so I figured I'd pop in, help you guys out.
Good for you. Appreciate it.
All right, let's get started. So we got 40 days until the election. All right, first question. Who's the favorite right now and why? Who wants to jump in first? Who's going to win? Who do you think is the favorite right now and
Stacy, teeing it up.
Ruben Gallego is going to win a Senate seat and hang on to the majority for the United States.
You think?
Yeah, I do. I definitely think he's
I was going down the road of Trump, Kamala, but...
Oh, fine. It's very close. It's going to be close. She's the winds at her back. She's doing all of the right things, saying all of the right things, alienating no one, not talking about eating dogs and cats.
Playing too safe? Playing it too safe?
No, I don't think that's possible with a female candidate.
She just did a crazy interview on MSNBC. It was a knockdown, drag-out fight. No, I'm kidding. But she did do an interview. She did do an interview today, and it was good. They asked her some tough questions. They pressed her a little bit. She answered the questions. Look, the polls are super close. Even the ones where she's winning or he's winning, they're almost all within the margin of error.
Indeed.
They're bouncing back and forth. The Arizona poll that the New York Times did a month ago, or she was up by 5. Now Trump is up by 5. So the polls are kind of all over the place, but within that margin of error on either side. It's going to be that sprint to the finish.
Yeah, and the good news is that we're 40 days away, and that means there's going to be 2 more months of arguing. So it's so close that we're not going to make it to Thanksgiving. Somebody's going to die at your Thanksgiving party because there is no possible way Uncle Jeff and Aunt Tina are going to bring their views to the party. And, so Thanksgiving's ruined already. Let's just count that out. I watched the MSNBC thing this afternoon, and I really think that, I am, if you don't know, I am off both parties. I am not digging my heels in on either one. I want someone to impress me. And today I thought, I agreed with you, winded her back until today. She's got a home game, and I'm watching her flounder her basics. And that's where she kind of loses me. I watch her flounder basic questions that are designed to help her.
It was a softball interview, let's be honest.
Wildly softball.
They pressed her on a couple things like with tariffs. Why do we, they said Biden still has tariffs. Are tariffs bad?
Yeah.
And she did. She kind of stumbled around a little bit on some questions. I saw most of it. And it wasn't as smooth as you would have hoped she would be. And certainly as smooth as she looks when she's giving a speech. But answering questions is a little tough for her.
It's a home run derby, and she's got like 3.
Yeah.
You're getting some easy pitches here, and you want to see somebody really perform and shine. I haven't seen that.
Fair.
And, of course, we already know Trump's deal, where it's like, hey, that makes sense. What are you talking about? Haitians eating what? When did this go off the rails? So I'm really I'm trying to not be tribal about any of it.
I don't know how you're going to be impressed with either then.
Exactly. I'm not. That's the big thing so far. And therein lies the problem.
Like if Trump is talking about Hannibal Lecter, you're like, okay, I don't get
that.
that.
The late, great Hannibal Lecter. Let's get that straight.
Sharks and boat batteries.
But if Kamala is asked a question about the economy or about, can you put gas in your tank? Well, let me tell you about my mom.
Yeah.
She goes into we were a middle class family, and I'm like, okay, I've already heard that, and I know that you've completely memorized that.
I'm laughing because she actually did that today.
I know she did.
She literally did.
You're quoting her without knowing.
It's becoming a predictable, physical thing. We can look forward.
But I have to say,
with an opportunity economy,
we're being.
I'm like, okay, I got you. This is easy.
At some level, we're being unfairly critical because Trump gives an interview. He stumbles over his own words. He can't complete a sentence. I think sometimes he has dementia. He's all over the place. And we kind of just let that go because it's Trump, right? We almost just expect it to happen.
Well, that's
and Kamala stumbles over some questions and doesn't seem to have the practice in being interviewed, and we're all over it.
Well, I was going to say, if you held them both to the same standard, because I think we hold Trump to a lower standard.
Yeah, we do.
Again, he can talk about Hannibal Lecter and sharks and eating cats and dogs, and people are like, it's Trump being Trump.
But isn't it his brand? And I think deep down what you're saying, Barry, is that we all kind of want that normalcy, so we're expecting that from the opposition because we know already he's so well branded.
Yeah.
We know what we're getting, and we just forgive it. I don't know if we forgive it. We accept it.
Or we're used to it.
We're used to it.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
that's if anybody else said the things he says on a daily basis. I mean, take all that away. He's selling silver coins now that are worth $30, and they're selling them for $100.
They're the greatest coins of all time, Barry. And look, I don't want you to have to deal with it, Barry. They're great coins. You don't have coins like that in your pocket, so don't dig into mine. These are great coins, Barry. Please.
That's fantastic.
In the war room, we've got John Holmberg, 98 KUPD. We've got Barry Markson and Stacy Pearson. So Trump is heading back to Butler where he got shot.
Yeah.
Why would you go back to Butler where you got shot?
Because that's the highlight of his campaign.
Yeah.
The assassination attempts. He loves the assassination attempts. He loves that the Congress just. He does. He loves it. He survived.
Loves the assassination
Yes,
attempts?
he talks about it all the time.
I don't think he loves
Remember
the
after
assassination.
Henry said, I'm going to talk about it once and never again.
Yeah.
He
That was the best.
He loves the unsuccessful assassination
Yeah. Oh,
attempts.
that's
Let me
fair.
rephrase.
Wow.
But yeah, he loves it. He loves that the Congress had to talk about him the other day and vote on him. He actually even said it was a beautiful thing. I can't do the accent. I can't.
That's all right. You can, if you want. Write it down. I'll do it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. They all got together. Republicans, Democrats, everybody voted for more security for me. And he loves that. He loves being the center of attention. That, by the way, was before he was president. When he was just a guy in New York, he loved being on TV. He would call reporters as fake people to talk about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He
To
loved
leak
the
stories
attention.
about himself. Yeah.
That part has never
But
changed.
I'm with Holmberg. I don't think Kamala is great, and I certainly don't think Trump is great. But doesn't Trump get a level of, I don't know, toughness?
Sane washing?
No, toughness for going back to the scene of the crime.
No, please.
Nothing? You don't give him anything?
I think for the rational mind, no. But
Okay.
we're dealing with the American public, and
Yeah.
a good majority of them are like, he speaks to the people he speaks to.
Yeah.
That was a very Kamala sentence, but he speaks to the people he speaks
A
to.
word salad.
And they
In the middle class.
and they eat that up when they're like, he's brave. Like they see that as bravery.
Going back into
But-
the jaws.
Like
But
bullets
even
are still
even
flying.
more than that, this is math. We're talking about Pennsylvania. It has 19 electoral college
Right.
votes. So someone is looking at a map in his campaign's war room saying we have to figure this out
Yeah.
because she's gaining ground there.
She's
and
up
she's
by
gaining ground in North Carolina.
I
she's
see
gaining,
she's up
yeah.
by 5 in Pennsylvania.
Right. So he should, I mean, from a campaign strategy perspective, someone like me is telling him, sorry, buddy, you got to buck up. Put a maxi pad on your ear and go get on stage, man.
Good grief.
What is wrong with Arizona, though, where Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, she's up by 5, 4, 5, 6 points.
Interesting.
And in Arizona, we're back down to where Trump's
So
up
We're
by
question.
down
5.
100,000 Democrats.
Is that what it is? Where did they go?
Or, Stacy, is it immigration?
Yeah.
Is a much more, I'll use the term personal issue in the state of Arizona than it is in Pennsylvania. You know, I was just in Pennsylvania, and I asked, we were there with a bunch of people, all Trump supporters. I'm like, explain to me how illegal immigration is affecting you guys here in Port Royal, Pennsylvania. Right. Like, I just don't see it happening.
I hear two things here real quick. We're inside the war room. Where did 100,000 Democrats in Arizona go? And obviously, Bruce is talking about Kamala and immigration. She will be here to go to the border
Friday.
Where did 100,000 Dems go?
That's the question, right? If
Were
I
the
knew the
independents?
answer,
Where did they go?
it
They
depends on
leave?
who you ask, right? There's no reason that the Democrats should be down over 4 years. We're 100,000 Democrats down between the 2020 election and today, and the Republicans and the Independents are both up. And they say, "Oh, it's the Great Purge. It was the purge. It's the change in the election laws." That would have impacted Independents the most. Those are the least frequent voters.
Okay.
And so if you look at the New York Times and their crosstabs, I think they probably have the most conservative model for turnout, but we should all be looking at it.
All right.
Yeah, because that's the real one. I will say this. Everybody talks about all the Californians moving to Arizona, and we're going to California, Arizona. But the people who move here from California are, the ones I've met anyway, this is anecdotal, are conservatives.
Yeah.
Who want out of California.
Escaping California, yeah.
So you're not getting this liberal California voter that's moving to Arizona.
No.
You're getting the conservatives or business owners or people who don't want to pay taxes and they don't want to do other things.
The candidate for governor in North Carolina that Trump referred to as Martin Luther King on steroids.
Times two.
Times two.
Times two. Did you like, though, Bruce? I'm sorry to interrupt your thing, but did you like how he started? Like he was going, "You're just like him. In fact, you're better. You're Martin Luther King." And you could see he was going to go junior, but then he realized, I can't say junior. Martin Luther King times two. That's good.
Yes.
He lost that. I died laughing when I saw it on television.
Well, Trump's been back to North Carolina twice in the last week, and surprisingly, there's no mention of
Shocking.
Mr. Robinson.
No
He's
sign
not
of him.
anywhere near it. This is again the guy who showed up on the Well, here's what he did.
We're talking about Mark Robinson. Right now, he is the state's lieutenant governor, and he is no stranger to controversy in the past, like with alleged Holocaust denial. He's backed policies like calling to arrest transgender women who use women's bathrooms. But this new report on CNN says Robinson posted for years on a porn site's message board, referring to himself as a perv and a black Nazi.
Ah,
Who amongst us
hasn't done something like that?
Just so we're clear, those were the nicest things he said. Those are the ones we can share. Yeah.
On the radio.
But the reason we're bringing this
Yes.
up is because if Trump loses North Carolina, the race is over. He cannot win. If you look at different ways, he's got some avenues to go. Everything goes through North Carolina. If he loses North Carolina, he's going to lose the election. And this guy is running on the Republican side as a pervert.
And it's not just that he's running on the Republican side. He's Trump's guy. Yeah. Trump endorsed him in the primary. Trump picked him out. He is North Carolina's Kerry Lake. Just another unbelievable.
Is he in soft focus all the time? I haven't noticed that.
I mean, Trump does this all the time. He picks these unbelievably ridiculous extreme candidates and then acts surprised when they lose. North Carolina, they would have a Republican governor, but he was losing by 10 points before this.
But people, even Republicans there are not going to vote for this guy. The polls are he's way down, and that's going to pull Donald Trump right down with him.
Certainly have the impact.
Keep in mind though, he's the current lieutenant governor. He's won a statewide election there.
Yeah,
I'll say that as I don't work here, so this doesn't bother me.
Here we go.
I'm a man of a certain age and needs. Yeah. I've enjoyed the pornography. I've never once thought afterwards, I need to make a few comments. I've never once gone to the keyboard just after, I'm usually like pretty ashamed. And then at that point after my porn, I rarely start. I get to the Z in Nazi, and I'm like, maybe I should stop.
Need a nap.
I think when you're typing on a message board for the general public, just general information, when you get to the Z, reconsider your thought.
Oh, my goodness.
Very little good ever comes
Very
of that.
little good comes from finishing that. Especially when you're, I'm in my right mind, I think. No, I need to take a shower and go to bed.
Just so I can still be working here tomorrow. We just make sure that was John.
You can't fire me. I'll go crazy at this point. I've got thoughts. At KUPD, we've gone very deep into this.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine. But
this is the site they found.
I know.
But Stacy,
and he used his real name.
Yeah. Well, he used his real computer. And it's my favorite quote he had in the whole
his
thing.
personal email.
We can't go dealing with things that they're saying, lies from 20 years ago that may or may not have happened. But I'm like, wait a second. You just admitted and didn't admit it in the same sentence. I'm here for the jokes at this point, and that's the shame of this election. Is that I am now. I'm pulling myself away to go. This is the simulation is shattered. It's broken, and it's a shame we can't have somebody rise to the top. The cream has not risen, and that's shocking to me because the bar is so low.
But isn't this really the question now? You have a guy running for president and bringing it back to Trump, who has endorsed this guy, who's obviously not a good person. Before this, he's a black guy who made racist statements. He's made anti-Semitic statements. He's made homophobic statements. He is not a good person.
He was a Holocaust denier before he was a candidate for governor.
Yeah, and before he was a perv with porn. But
Trump's party loves all of that.
Well, they do now, apparently. That never used to be the case. But what this is, when do we stop saying, Trump keeps saying these are the people we want in power. We want the Kerry Lakes and the Mark Robinsons and all these people. And why aren't more people saying that's disqualifying? How can I vote for a guy who thinks he's the best?
They don't want the other side. They do anything to not vote for the other side. There are certain people who will never vote for the other side.
It's
and that
become
includes
religion,
Democrats
right?
too.
It's religion.
It's a religion.
It's gotten
look at this
full religion.
Come on, people were going to vote for Joe Biden for president?
Yeah, right.
That's a joke.
It's tribal to the point now where you're absolutely right. So long as the other side exists, whatever you put up on your side has to just kind of toe the line a little bit. There's nothing disqualified. I mean, Howard Dean was kicked out of a presidential election for squeaking once.
Yelling funny.
You're out. You can't do it. We can't have that as president.
Michael Dukakis with the helmet.
He wore a helmet. Well, that was a little bit
that
weird.
is
I can't have him as president. That helmet was ridiculous.
I retract that statement.
There was one point where we watched Joe Biden on stage and say, oh my gosh, he should be in a nursing home.
Yeah.
he had the mouth wide open.
Absolutely.
He had the nursing home
And
mouth.
he stepped aside.
He didn't step
did.
aside. He got pushed out.
Ultimately, he did.
But again, whether he stepped aside or not, the party moved him aside.
Agreed.
Because they were going to lose.
Right, but where is the Republican Party saying we have 150 million other Republicans, any one of which could win this election, but they refuse to step in and say this is not the guy?
I think that comes back to Stacy's job, is because you're looking at the polls and Trump is not behind.
Well,
I mean, he's not leading.
If he was losing
if
by
he was
10,
losing, maybe they would. But I think that's the danger of this election.
but
It's like,
any
we're
other-
going to lose, get him out.
But any other Republican would be up.
probably.
would be winning.
But who's stepping
if
up?
Biden was winning in the polls, they never would have removed him.
Right.
And we'd be
Another
looking at a
argument,
guy who absolutely could not do the job anymore.
Yeah.
But we
It's
didn't know
scary.
that until the
I think
debate.
I
we
knew
knew.
it 2 years ago.
Nobody wanted to admit that.
Of
Everybody
course,
knew that.
everybody knew it.
Yeah, I mean, I do the show, and we'll make Biden jokes as being the doddering old man, and I've done stand-up stuff with guys, and that gets the biggest laugh because it's the most relief.
Right.
People are like, oh, you see it too. Nobody likes to talk about their guy looking bad. That's the
Well,
danger.
nobody wants
Nobody-
to take the keys away from dad,
Right,
right? Or
right.
grandpa.
That's
Nobody
true.
wants to be the one that does it.
Right.
But more importantly, I don't think anybody wants to look in the mirror and say, this is what I support. They just want it to be, and they don't want to say anything bad about their own.
Yeah. Well, it was also anybody but Trump.
True.
I mean,
True.
I would say I'd vote for that chair before I'd vote for Trump. So that's
but then there are people that said I'd vote for Joe Biden if he was dead. That's not good
Yeah,
either.
no.
That's ridiculous.
That's worse than Trump.
still better than Trump.
See, that's crazy. And this is where it's going.
All right.
Thanksgiving's ruined.
Thanksgiving is ruined. I can live with that.
So let me play a clip from Trump.
Oh.
Earlier, we were talking about a plethora of stuff. It didn't sound like Kamala did a good job on MSNBC, fumbling her words. As Holmberg said, that's a home game, and not too great. All right, well, here's what Donald Trump was saying to women yesterday. Okay. Let's take a listen.
You will no longer be abandoned, lonely, or scared. You will no longer be in danger. You're not going to be in danger any longer. You will no longer have anxiety from all of the problems our country has today. You will be protected, and I will be your protector. You will no longer be thinking about abortion. That's all they talk about, abortion.
You will no longer be thinking about abortion.
Is there more?
No, does there need to be?
Didn't it seem like the only thing missing from that was a watch going back and forth?
It felt like
It felt like I'm being
hypnotism.
hypnotized.
Yes.
It's so creepy. It's
Yeah,
just creepy.
it's just missing that moment.
I'm in your window. I can see you. You're very safe. Don't worry. You look great, by the way.
I'm watching you all the time.
Yeah, that's weird.
And there's not a woman on earth that is listening to that going, yeah, I'm in. Sign me
I
up.
feel so much safer now.
Let's go.
Why can't Republicans talk to women? Well, at least Trump and Vance are having a difficult time, it seems, speaking to women. Between childless cat ladies and you'll never think of abortion again, it seems like they have difficulty speaking the language.
Well, they have difficulty speaking any language.
Okay.
I mean, it's really baffling how terrible they've gotten at this. I mean, we're talking about a party that put Sandra Day O'Connor on the court, and there were lots that had the first female VP nominee. This didn't used to be this bad. Arizona, female governors, majority of which were Republican. They've lost their minds.
But there are women who do resonate to this.
Obviously.
There are. I mean, you see, they're there. I mean, we've got in this state, we've got a couple that. So it isn't fair, I don't think, to just say there are absolutely none. And I think it's dismissive in a way to say that they don't matter. Like their thoughts matter, their beliefs matter, and everything else. I don't know what resonates with. If I'm not a woman, obviously, but I don't know what resonates to a woman from that message at all. And it's a real easy one to combat. And so I feel like it's that. They're trying. It's the guy at the bar trying so hard to get your attention that it's just getting weird. So stop it. So just stop. Just stop that.
But this plays into the whole. This is a strategy. I'm going to assume from the strategist in the room, and you can tell me that they're painting a picture that America is a hellhole. There are rapists and murderers coming across the border, and they're coming for you at every day. So I'm the one who can protect you. Like that's the natural progression of this, right?
Yeah, that's what he always says, right? The whole country is a hellhole, and everything's bad, and crime is up, even though statistically it's down. Everything's awful. I think that Trump and to some extent Vance, they just have no respect for women. If you look at Trump throughout his whole life, multiple divorces, cheating on every wife, the things he says about women, that's who Trump is. If you want to say it's because he's an older guy, different generation, it's ridiculous. That's who he is. So he looks at women, and women are, you need protection. You need someone to take care of you. That's how he thinks of women, and he's showing us that. I think the question is, why would women vote for him? I mean, he said something about Jews the other day, that if Jews don't vote for me, it's going to be their fault.
No,
I lost.
If he loses the election, Barry, it's your fault.
And then he did it with Catholics. Catholics should have their heads examined because they're not going to vote for me. It's an incredible thing. He's insulting. It's like you're going group by group and insulting people, and then wondering why they're not voting for you. It's odd.
Well, what about the strong women out there who are Republicans, and then they hear this message, and they're like, okay, wait a minute. I'm strong. I've got a job. I'm also taking care of the kids. I don't need a man
See, I think they spin it. I think the people that it does resonate with aren't hearing it as, I need a man in my life.
Yeah, how are they hearing it?
I think they're hearing it as, I am a strong woman, but I can't stop the border. I am a strong woman, and I need somebody strong to protect us from Russia and China. It comes across as, I'll protect you from that weirdo that's hitting on you, and I think that they spin that message into, he's the stronger candidate for all that ills us.
He has the worst gap in any polling of any president we've ever seen with women.
He's in deep trouble when it comes to female voters.
Deep trouble. Right. So to John's point, certainly not all women have dismissed him, but the ones who matter, the Republican women in the Southeast Valley who are listening right now, who typically vote Republican but have rejected extremists, rejected Arpaio, rejected Carrie Lake last time. Those are the women that are like, man, I would watch my drink at a bar next to this guy.
And I have talked to, this is a weird thing, I have talked to women who traditionally probably lean Democrat. Mm-hmm. They're in traditional families. They're in, and
couple of dogs,
they will not vote for a woman.
Yeah.
And I found that to be that was eye-opening. I had a conversation with somebody about that. She goes, I would normally vote for a Democrat. I don't find her to be strong. I don't think she's qualified for that. And it's because
women
she's
can't be leaders.
Yes. And it was from a woman.
We are the worst against our own.
I've seen some interviews like that lately where people, men and women, are saying, I just don't see myself voting for a woman as a leader. Which is odd. But
we can go back to middle school and really start to dissect this. But
Let's do it.
Women really, we are terrible. And if you look at all of the female leaders that have gotten to a place similar to what the vice president has gotten, they're all dismissed to something so ridiculous. Sarah Palin was a governor, but she was stupid. It is, we don't like what Senator Sinema was wearing.
Yeah.
We don't like Kamala Harris because, they're asking questions about her IQ. It is so
I had someone
misogynistic.
say they'd have voted for Condoleezza Rice if she'd fix her teeth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, there's the thing. This is where we are. This is where we are.
Hillary Clinton didn't.
Was her clothes? Who dresses like this?
Well, she didn't slap her husband on television.
Right.
Yeah.
But I vote by. I've just gotten down to the point where it's gotten so silly. If you have a nice poster, I think that's enough for me. Because that seems to be what everybody thinks is going to. If you've been to Lincoln and 24th Street, it's littered with nonsense. And I'm like, who does? Like, I've never once thought, I'm going to vote for candidate A. And they go, wait a second, look at that poster. What was I thinking? There's blue and there's colors and she's there.
There's an American flag.
That's where I live. It's like when a band screams, Phoenix. And we all go, that's where we live. Like we didn't know they knew where they were. I don't get the posters and I don't get who that moves.
Yeah.
They're a nightmare. They're the
worst.
They're the
it's
worst.
terrible.
We've got John Holmberg, Barry Markson, Stacy Pearson inside the war room. All right, we'll maybe get a little semi-series here coming up next. So, the Middle East is, as I said, coming apart at the seams. I don't know what the latest version of it is, but Israel's basically fighting a war on 5 fronts. It might be a good way to put it. And this could rapidly become something that the United States has to deal with in some way, shape, or form, as in the next 30 days, in the next 24 hours. I don't know. And the question comes down to, I think this, we talk about what will impact this election between now. I said there's still 3 things that are going to happen. But if the Middle East completely comes apart at the seams, how will Americans look at this and say, who do I trust to deal with the conflict in the Middle East? Do I trust Kamala Harris? Do I trust Donald Trump? Who can I trust to deal with the world imploding?
In general or in the Middle East?
I'm just saying. Well, I mean, but don't you think that's going to be one of the questions that's certainly on people's minds?
You got to ask, do you want crazy or do you want inexperienced? And I think both are bad.
So I've got a different take on this.
Go ahead.
The veteran community in Arizona is not going to trust Donald Trump with the nuclear codes again. It's what we're seeing the ads on Ruben Gallego. It's, I'm a Republican. I was in combat with him. He's my guy. And the same's going to be true of Kamala. And typically the kids that are joining the military are lower income. They're my high school graduates. There's folks that I went to high school with, right? You go there for the free college. And those families are typically Democrats, and they're not going to trust him with the nuclear codes when he thinks that Hannibal Lecter's a real person or that folks are eating cats.
And it's not just that. He's been president for 4 years. So look up that there's 400 national security people in Republican and Democratic administrations who have saying, you can't reelect this guy. Yeah. He's dangerous. Look where there's hundreds of military generals, Republicans, almost all, saying, you can't vote for this guy. He's dangerous. Look at 40 out of 44 of Trump's own cabinet members, his senior administrators, the people he picked. Yeah. And they're saying, we're not voting for this guy, up to and including his vice president.
But Barry, there are other countries that think, yeah, that guy's dangerous. That guy's crazy. I don't want to screw with that guy.
Yeah. Nah, I don't think that's the case actually, because what Trump really does, if you think about it, is he backs away from anybody who's bad. That's why he likes Putin. Putin likes him because he's going to back away in Ukraine. He's going to give Ukraine to Russia. They like him. He's a guy who so doesn't want to have conflict. He talks tough, but he says constantly, we're not going to get in war. We're not going to do anything. And the other thing I'll just mention is, everybody thinks the president runs everything like it's a shop, like it's a restaurant. It's family. I mean, there are thousands and thousands of people who are involved in this stuff. And I mean, look, the president's very important and makes high-level decisions and sets policy. But there's an awful lot of people here. And what you really have to think is, who's Trump going to have in there? Is it going to be Mike Flynn, who's literally a felon and was a guy who was talking to Russia and giving away secrets? Is it going to have – that's who Trump surrounded himself with. Just hundreds of people have been arrested and convicted.
Terrifying.
And whereas, okay, you can say you don't like some of the Democratic policies, but they're going to have smart people who have been studying this for years, and that's who's going to be there. Maybe they're the wrong people. Maybe you disagree with what they're going to do, but these are considered serious people.
You sort of stumbled into accidentally making the point I was going to make, is the people that you're talking about are already there. And that's the problem I think a lot of people have, is that we're waiting for January to be who's going to solve this problem when there's a group of people, one named Kamala Harris, that is there. So start working on it now. Why do you have to be president to stop this? Why is it? And you're saying that there's thousands of people involved. Then let's get them going, because this has gotten worse. And I'm not saying that it's the Democrats' fault, but currently they're holding the torch. So if you're saying, oh, elect me president and then I'll get to work on this, that to me is automatically saying that guy's stronger.
But what is a United States president supposed to do in the Middle East?
Well, you said, there's thousands of people involved, so it's not just him.
But what I'm saying is it's not a solvable issue. We've been trying to solve the Middle East for my entire life. Yeah. And
they've only been fighting for 2,000 years.
Yeah. But again, this particular conflict is relatively new. It's a year, right? So it's solve it if you can. Don't wait to get elected president.
Good argument. All right. Hey, guys, thank you so very much. Did we have some fun today?
Fun stuff.
It was good. I thought there was some smart comments and Holmberg's.
Don't make me say porn again.
Oh, God. Thanks again to Stacy, Pearson, Lemon Strategies, of course, KTAR legal analyst, Barry Markson, and our buddy from 98 KPD, John Holmberg.
Pleasure.
All right. That's the War Room. We'll do it again next Wednesday at 5. What do you say, right?
Thanks for watching Outspoken with Bruce and Gaydos. Tap to watch more from KTAR News and click the button in the middle to subscribe.